Hey, in this episode, we're going another step further from the episode with our guest, Alan Stein Jr. I'm going to look at how you can find what you need in the past to transfer in the future. Take skills and transfer them in different areas of your life. I want you to have the belief that I'm better than I thought. I can do this. Let's do this. And I want to remind you of all the qualities you had and have and will have and get better at. And we're going to keep it so simple because in simplicity, there's genius. Now, if that just makes you just a little bit curious, have a listen after this. Hey, this is the Personal Development Unplugged podcast, where we use hypnosis. Yeah, hypnosis. NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. Don't worry what it is. It's just a mass of processes that we're going to get you to change. Change to let go of anxiety, low self-esteem, and create massive supreme inner confidence. But that's confidence in your competence and competence in your confidence, which means you can do anything and be safe, to enjoy the world as it should be, with you at the helm, creating the life that you want. That's what this podcast is about. You and being the best you could be, singing from your real voice, aligned with your mission, aligned with your passions. That's what it's about. So if you're interested in letting go of anxiety, if you're interested in letting go of fear, guilt, all those blooming syndromes, imposter syndromes, and every little bit of the mind which is negative, then have a listen here, because we've got some wonderful processes and lots of good conversations between you and me to get us both thinking in such wonderful ways. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Just take the chance to have a listen.
Warning.
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 Warning. You are entering into the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. Too late. Personal Development Unplugged.
Hey friend, how are you doing? It's another, I don't think it'll be that long a podcast. The longer episode, but not that longer episode. Because if you remember, a little while ago, a really short while ago, we found a new friend, didn't we? We had a guest, Alan Stein Jr., and he brought with him a load of good things. And one of the things he was talking about was the transference of skills, taking fundamentals from one area of your life, what works, and being able to use them in different areas of your life. And I wanted to dive a little deeper on that, and specifically in this transference of skills. You see, when I work with a client, and this is something like transference of skills in a different way. You see, when clients come to me, they have issues. They've got things like anxiety, they've got worry, they've got OCD, they've got all this stuff, depression, sadness, guilt, all that stuff. And it's really bogging them down. And in some ways, it's generalized into so many different areas of their life. But the thing is, when I'm working with a client, we like to get specific, because if we can get specific on the root cause and we deal with that, something happens. Now, you see, the way I explain it is to them, and maybe it'll make sense to you, hopefully it does, that something happens in their past, maybe my past, your past, something, when we're little human beings generally, normally the case, doesn't have to be traumatic, but something happens that gives us maybe a weird feeling. Maybe we get a little bit scared, just a little bit. Maybe we get a little bit anxious. Maybe we get a little bit guilty, jealous, any of those negative emotions. And the unconscious mind goes, do you know what? I don't like this feeling. And I don't want this feeling for you. So what I'm going to do as your best friend, I'm going to protect you from having that feeling. And I'm going to do it just in this one particular case. And with this very small amount of wisdom I've got, and this very small amount of experience I've got, I'm going to pull on all those reserves and come up with this plan. And it works. It makes you feel maybe it stops you doing something to keep you safe. That's generally the case. Gives you an emotion, gives you belief, and it stops you doing that thing. And it worked. Maybe it took you away from that scary thing because it made you hide, pull back. Maybe it just made you, I don't know, think about things a little bit too much so you didn't do that thing. Maybe you give that little belief that maybe I'm not that good enough. I'm not good. I'm not good enough. Because if I give you that belief, you won't do that stuff that makes you or puts you in that position to feel those old feelings. Because I'm going to protect you. And it does. But the thing is, as it goes through life, it then goes, do you know what? There's a few other areas of our lives, different contexts that is though, that seem to be similar. And I'm going to protect you from that stuff in these other areas. And what happens then is, not only does that feeling get a little bit more intense, because the bigger you get, the older you get, the more things you're going to do, and the stronger this feeling has to be to stop you doing that stuff. But it also says, do you know what? I know it's in that context, but here's another one. When you socialize, I don't want you to feel that feeling when you socialize, so I'm going to give you that feeling over here. Oh, and when you're at college or in school and the pressure's on, and I want you to succeed. I don't want you to fail and feel that, all that stuff. And then it does it again. And now it tends to generalize into different areas. It started off in one little area of your life, and now it not only gets more intense, but it goes into different areas of your life. So then we get things like, the buzzwords are things like social anxiety, not putting yourself, not showing up in meetings. And I mean showing up, showing your true self, holding back, not speaking up. You get that imposter syndrome where you get maybe a little bit of sadness, depression, all that stuff. And loads of negative beliefs start to come out. And they start off with a real simple belief. Maybe things like, people kept saying, oh, you're stupid. Don't be so stupid. Don't be so stupid. And you pick that up. But then it goes from stupid to things like, well, you're not worth it. I'm not worth it. I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. And it generalizes. So now we've got a generalized negative belief. We've got negative emotions. And we've got not only one context or one area of your life that used to be trying to be protected from. Now you got this issue all through your life in different areas. And the way I explain it is, if you can imagine an umbrella, quite a big one, because an umbrella's got all those spokes, hasn't it? But spokes at the top. Imagine an umbrella that's been opened, and each one of those spokes has an area of your life where you experience that negative emotion, those negative behaviors maybe. So those feelings, negative emotion, and those limiting beliefs. And each one of those is a different context of your life. So, this is where it's spread. But the thing is, if you follow that umbrella down, see, they're all connected, aren't they? At the top, they all connect to the top, and then they go down that shaft, and there's a button, isn't there? There's that button that when you press it, everything just collapses. And when it collapses, everything disappears. And that's my metaphor. You see, when that button at the bottom is the root cause, the one thing that when we let it go, when we deal with it, when we learn from it, all those other examples, different areas of our lives where we have those effects, well, we deal with the cause and the effect has to disappear. Now, there's a better example. Well, I wouldn't call it better because I like my example because I can draw it out better. But you see, also, if you imagine, say, a diagram with a circle in the middle, there's one circle. And that circle is the root cause. That's that first event. That's that thing that your unconscious mind originally wanted to protect you from. And then you imagine just spokes coming away from that center. And each one of those has a little circle on. And that little circle is each different effect in a different context. And if you imagine joining up around the outside, like the spokes of a wheel, and then the wheel will go around the outside, they're all connected because they're all connected to themselves and to the middle. But the thing is, when you take away the middle, everything has to disappear. The root cause. Take away the root cause, you take away the root, the leaves just they have to disappear. They have to wither and die and let go. And the thing is, the root cause, once we learn from it, and we have those learnings, and they're with us, your unconscious mind doesn't need to have those emotions anymore because it's got what it needs. Those effects are there to try to remind you and do this stuff. And in fact, you generally find that what your unconscious mind is trying to do now is actually the complete opposite, or the result it's getting is the complete opposite that it's trying to do. So if you're anxious, it's trying to stop you from anxiety, but you're getting anxious about stuff. If you fear of failure, you don't do stuff because you fear of failure, but you don't do stuff when you feel a failure. It's a complete direct conflict. And when your unconscious mind gets to understand that, it has to change. It has to, because your unconscious mind has a prime directive to keep you safe and keep you healthy. And neither of those things keep you safe and keep you healthy. So it's got to change. So we've got to just show your unconscious mind there's an issue and there's a conflict. But the thing is, and this is where I'm going with this, I know it's to me it's a bit confusing where I'm going, but we'll get there. You see, this process of one thing spreading out into different areas of your life, into all different contexts of your life, is the most awesome process. And now you're saying, oh, bloody hell, Cluffy, what are you talking about? This thing that started off trying to help me and it didn't and isn't, now it's spread to different areas of my life and it isn't helping, and I'm feeling bad and I'm feeling depressed, I'm feeling angry, I'm feeling anxious, I've got no confidence, my self-esteem has gone. How can that be such a wonderful bloody process? Well, you see, what if we created something different? Because see, this awesome process has created chaos. But out of chaos comes wonderful stuff. Because now the good news is it works in reverse. I'll say it again. It works in reverse too. As long as we keep the intention, i.e. to protect you, to keep you safe, all that stuff, you see, we'll find better ways of keeping you safe, because the old way is in conflict and not doing it anymore. And when we find wonderful, empowering beliefs, positive emotions, and healthy behaviors that are readily available, guess what? Once we solve that root cause and we give the wonderful alternatives, your unconscious mind goes, do you know what? I could use them in different places. So then you, instead of just being confident in one area, just one first area, you get confident in other areas of your life. Things that used to be good get better. Things that weren't quite so good get even better. Everything gets better. We are starting to then create a wonderful feeling of goodness. So that's the wonderful thing about having an issue. When you get rid of it, not just the issue gets better, but everywhere in your life gets better. I hope that makes sense. Here's like a little bit of a story that hopefully makes sense and gives a better example of this. And it's a true story, by the way. I may have told it before, but if you're new here, hey ho, and if you missed it, there you go. And if you have listened to it before, it's another good thing to listen again anyway. You see, this young lady came to work with me and she said, do you know what? My problem is, because I always say, why are you here? She says, well, I've got this phobia of loud noises. She said, and I was saying, well, I'd like to know a little bit more, because where do loud noises come from? I'm here. And just as I was saying that, a bloody car backfired out on the road. She said, there, that's a loud noise. And she said, here's an example, Paul. She says, you can buy fireworks anywhere now, anytime. It doesn't have to be fireworks night. It's any time you can buy a firework for a party. Just for any time, for New Year's, birthday, Christmas, any time of the year, you can buy fireworks. And people do. They have parties, and there's where we live in the summer, for tourism and things like that, there's a firework display every Saturday night. She says, I don't like Saturday nights now because there's so much noise. Yeah, it looks pretty, but the noise scares the life out of me. And I feel totally out of control when it's happening. So I said, okay, listen. Now I understand, you see. Now I understand the problem. And we did some work and we found a root cause and we did some phobia work. And she then disappeared. Well, not disappeared in front of me when I was working with her. She disappeared into just being herself and doing her life, as it were. And then she sent a little text to say, I'm checking this out tonight because this is the first party I'm going to. It's only been a week or so, but I'm going to a party and I know there's going to be fireworks. Hope for the best. You don't hope for the best, just have the best. But anyway, got a phone call after that. And I'm thinking, oh dear, maybe she wants another session. But she phoned up and said, do you know what, Paul? This But it's awesome because I went to that party. I could see them getting ready for the fireworks. I was getting that little bit of anxiety. And then the noise happened and I thought, well, that was silly. It's fine. No problem. So she says, and I felt totally in control. But here's the thing, Paul. What I didn't tell you was when I was at work, before I came to see you, I always felt a little bit out of control. And especially in meetings, I didn't have any confidence. It wasn't anything to do with noise. I just felt out of control in that I couldn't control what I was going to say and I couldn't get the information. He said, now I am in control like no one's business. I don't know what that no one's business means, but I am totally in control of myself. I can get the information across to people. I can communicate. I'll say that again because I can't communicate properly. I can communicate with people and they just get it. But we didn't work on that, did we, Paul? No, didn't we? Because as you can see, it came from loud noises and then spread to different areas of her life. And then when she dealt with it, those different areas of her life changed too. Now, hopefully that explains in real life circumstances how things start in one place and then generalize into other places. So from loud noises into a lack of confidence, and then that lack of confidence was led into like low self-esteem. And I also know that she said, when she was meeting friends and she didn't quite know what was going to be happening because she hadn't set it up herself. So therefore she felt very unconfident and out of control and she didn't like it. So you can see, but she was saying, now she was meeting friends and loving it. So you can see how you change one thing, everything changes. So how can we do this without one-to-one? Because if you've got an issue, I always say, go and see a therapist. Someone like me who does hypnosis brilliantly, who does NLP brilliantly, who does timeline therapy brilliantly, and a whole stack of other stuff, and does it quickly. That's the type of person you want. Someone like me, but who does that. But if you want to work on yourself, and just notice how it helps, because this will work for everything. What I want you to do is just notice this thing about transferring of skills, because we're back to it now. I go out of the way and then I'm coming back. How do we transfer skills to make this lack of confidence or low self-esteem or feeling guilty or feeling jealous? How do we transfer those skills? Well, first of all, we've got to find them. And there's a number of ways we can find them because I don't leave you hanging. This is a how. Now, the first easy one is to just go through your memories and find some counterexamples. What you talking about, Cluffy? I can hear you say, what's a counterexample? Well, for example, if you've got an issue about your lack of confidence. Your confidence is unconfident, if that's a word. I feel unconfident. I have a lack of confidence. So a counterexample would be, look through your memories for times in your life where you had confidence and you performed really well and it was successful and you enjoyed it. Now, you find this in different areas of your life, different contexts. So if you've got a lack of confidence at work, find a way you do have confidence. Maybe it's in your hobbies. Maybe it's in your sports. Maybe it's in your reading about any ability that you've got that you have confidence in is where you have confidence in. And you only have to do it one time, successfully. And it doesn't matter how long. If you did it for about 30 seconds and you were totally successful and confident and performed well, that's a wonderful example. And you write them down if you can. Because if you just think about things, because if you notice, I said counter examples, plural. I don't just want one. And if you think of one, and then you think of another, that first one seems to disappear out your ears, doesn't it? And then you think of another, and that second example disappears out your ears. So you're only ever thinking about one. Well, if you write them down, it only has to be a sentence or two. It doesn't be a paragraph, doesn't have to be a page, just enough to remind you of that memory. And the reason I say write it down, one of the things, it stays there so you can go back and read it and recall it again. But also, in order to write it, you have to bring it to mind. You have to describe it. You have to see it in your mind. How you saw it then, how you felt. And when you do that, you speak to yourself with your inner voice of the words you're going to write down. And you read the words you write down to make sure they're the things that you thought of, and do they describe that event. And your pen's writing or your pencil's writing and your muscle memory and your arms are going. And you're really reliving that counterexample in so many different modalities. You've got visual, auditory, you've got another internal visual, external visual, seeing the words. Internal voice, maybe external voice. And you're also feeling it kinesthetically. You're feeling it. And then do another one. And then do another one. So lack of confidence would be times in your life when you had been confident and you performed well and it's successful and you enjoyed it. And you can do that. You can find them anywhere. And it doesn't have to be yesterday. It could be any time in your life. Because when you were confident, performed well, successfully and enjoyed it, doesn't matter when. It's a time in your life. And when we start doing 2, 3, 4, or 5 of these, we're saying to your unconscious mind, look at me. When I have this type of confidence, things work really well. I felt safe. I enjoyed life right then. And your unconscious mind is going to start going, that was a good time, wasn't it? And we were really protected then, looking after each other. Maybe that would be a better way than that issue we've got. So maybe when, we talk about low self-esteem. I'll give you a few examples. Low self-esteem. Think of times when you felt really good about yourself. You felt good. And what you were doing was successful. And you felt safe. And you enjoyed the process. Because if you enjoy something, you're feeling pretty safe. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 maybe. Think of one. Write it down. And when you write it down, relive it again. Feel that feeling. And with each one of these, I also want you to think of, what was a belief that I had about myself when I was doing this? And if you say to me, oh, Cluffy, I don't know what belief I had. Well, just think to yourself, what belief must I have had to be able to perform like that, to have that confidence, to have that high self-esteem? What belief must I have had? So it could be with confidence. I'm okay. I've got this. Low self-esteem. When I had a good high self-esteem, I'm worthy. I get to do this. I deserve this. I must have had a belief like that, mustn't I? Because you're telling your unconscious mind, this is a type of positive belief that goes with these ways of being, using behaviors and emotions in a wonderful way. So maybe, I feel guilty about stuff. Well, think of times when you've done good things. Maybe doing good things and helping others. What did it feel like to do that? And again, write down 5. What type of belief must you have had, did you have, when you were doing good things? You felt good. You felt worthwhile. What about jealousy? Because I'm trying to go through 1 or 2, and I had a hard time with jealousy. And then I just thought, well, when I've celebrated somebody else's success, or I've supported somebody doing something, and all I wanted was something good for them. So it doesn't have to be jealousy. Like, you maybe have a jealousy problem with relationships, but now I want to talk about relationships with other people, what it's like to support them. So where in the past have I supported somebody and celebrated good times with them? When they've come and said, I've done this, and I went, well done, I'm so pleased for you. Because when you get that, isn't that a better feeling? That then you can communicate with people better? Too bloody right it is. What belief did you have about yourself? And the list goes on. Whatever issue you have, just think, what examples have I got in different areas of my life, different times in my life, when I've had what I needed? Now, you can add to this, or you can do this as well, or everyone which one you feel comfortable with, basically. But I do suggest doing them all. You see, you want to know what qualities you have as well. Because if we're going to share basic fundamental skills from one place in your life and we're going to transfer them, skill stacking as it were, and skill sharing, one thing you can do is decide to yourself, well, what bloody qualities, skills do I have? And a long time ago, way back in, it was #78, and there's I found out that I'd done a hypnosis track on this. #78.1. It's called My Qualities, and a mind map. So if you go to #78, but very quickly, basically, you get a plain piece of paper in the middle, you write My Qualities. And like spokes of a wheel coming from the hub, you just write down the qualities you've got. And I know if you've got a bit of an issue, because I had a bloody great big issue when I discovered how to do my qualities. I don't know if anybody does this, anybody else does this, apart from me and my sons. But I just wrote down things like, well, I know I've been kind once. I don't feel very kind to myself, but I know I've been kind. Because it's like going to those counterexamples, memories. Yeah, I've been kind. I gave without wanting anything in return. So I can be kind. I'm a kind person. That's a quality. I've learned things before, see? I just learned things, and I've learned things that will enable me to do other things. So I can learn. I can read, I can write. Maybe I've talked to people in a nice way. I've made like a connection with people so I can connect. Maybe I'm physically strong. I'm healthy. Maybe when you think about, I go to the gym regularly, so I can do things. I can commit to things, and I can commit to me. And you just go through it and fill up the whole bloody page with all these qualities and let them just come to mind. Leave it, come back to it, leave it, come back to it, whatever you want, and fill up the whole damn page. And once you've done that, maybe just listen to the hypnosis track. #78.1, my qualities. And that will reinforce them. So again, we're taking my qualities like a counterexample, saying to your unconscious mind, I know you've been using these type of resources, but they don't bloody work. Have a look at these. This is a menu. This is a menu or a list of qualities that you can use as a recipe for success. And you think, I'm doing this consciously, but Hellfire Unconscious Mind, my best friend, you can do it even better because you've got a richer way of finding all my qualities and mixing them together. And I know you have this wonderful, great intention of keeping me safe. So these are the qualities that will keep me safe, not the old way. And when you talk to yourself that way, and you do that hypnosis or you do that counterexamples, I believe things will change. You'll notice things will be different now. Now there's something else you could do. Really, Cluffy? Well, you see, and I'm going to tell you about this, but I'm not going to do it. No, I'm not. Because I want this to be another episode. Because I don't want to overwhelm you with so much stuff. Because if I do that, it's a bit like coming in one ear, going out the other. You'll just lose it. Because I know I will. And the first two things I've given you are actually they're like tied together, aren't they? Because those counterexamples are based on having those other qualities in your life. The things you lack in a particular area, this is where you have them in other areas. These are your qualities, and get your unconscious mind to transfer them. Because what we're going to be talking about on the next one is how to use and actually really find those and use that. Because I want to use those counterexamples and I want to use those qualities. Okay, so to be honest, if you want to really get something out of it from the next episode, you've got to do this work with me. You've got to do those counterexamples. You've got to do my qualities again. Because if you don't, what's the point of bloody listening to this? This is hard times, Paul. Not hard times, is it? Was it hard talking? Whatever it is. Anyway, we're both here to develop ourselves, to improve ourselves, personal improvement, personal development, unplugged. And to do that, we've got to get better. We've got to try and strive, strive to be the best we can. And therefore that means getting rid of our issues and finding good stuff. And it's not just about listening and reading. I mean, you can read all the self-development books in the world, but if you don't do what they say, it's a waste of time. You've just wasted time reading. I know so many people who used to be really supposedly really good at NLP because they read it all. They could speak the jargon. They could have a conversation and really get deep with it. But could they use it? No, could they? Bloody hell not. Because they intellectualized it, and that's not mastery. Mastery is doing what you know and knowing what you do. And in this thing, if you're just going to listen and not do, I don't want to say this, but you're wasting your time. And I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste my time because I want to support you getting your dreams, support you improving yourself, getting the career you want, the relationships you want, the dreams and wishes to become true. And to do that, we have to do the things we're thinking about, do the things that, go through these processes. Some of these processes won't resonate with you. And maybe they don't work as well as we want. And maybe there's a reason for that. And I'll tell you what that reason is shortly or in the next one. And it's all about intention. But the thing is, if you do them all, even if they don't resonate, they will have an effect, a positive effect on getting you closer and closer to the real you. Because the real you is unattainable, if that's the word, because you can always be better. One bit better, real you. And if we strive for that, we are going to be an awesome human being and doing. There's the thing, human being, not reading, not thinking, but doing. Put it all together. I'm now going to get off my little soapbox. There we go, back on firm ground. And please, let's just recap. I mean, we were prompted by Alan Stein Jr. to look at how we can transfer skills, transfer just the fundamentals of one skill from one context to another. And we're going through the hows now. And I've given you some examples of how things can spread and how we can then, when we change it, the wonderful good things spread. Then we said, find some counterexamples, write them out. What belief did you have? Or must you have had? And write that down so you know it. Take a little bit of time. Do one example a day. How far we can all spend, how long is that going to take? Ooh, it might take me at least 5 minutes, Paul. We can spare 5 minutes in a day. And then my qualities. Do that as well. Do the mind map. That's going to take you maybe 20 minutes at the most. And you can do that 4 minutes a day. So we're now up to 9 minutes a day, not even 10 minutes a day now. And then listen to the hypnosis track. And when you do all of that and you have them ready for me, then we can go on this process of now putting those into the future. So that's going to be the next episode, by the way. We're going to find a way. I have a way. I'm not going to find it. I've found the way. A process that we can use so we can take those and actually stack them. So we're not just going to look for confidence. We're going to look for the recipe of confidence, or the recipe of feeling good, or the recipe of feeling connected, or whatever you need to have. The recipe for high self-esteem, competence, whatever it is. And then we're going to apply it so it works in the future, so that when it works in the future, it works in the here and now. So please, please, please do the counterexamples, write them out. Think about the belief you must have had, and then do my qualities. Listen to the hypnosis tracks. We're going to come back and we're going to find that process and we're going to blow it out the water. And then I'll say that again, even if you are or have decided to go and see somebody one-to-one, get it done quickly. This will help. This will make things go even quicker than before. Anyway, okay? If you've got any queries, send me an email. feedback@personaldevelopmentunplugged.com and I'll give you a reply. It only comes to me. There's no bugger else. No one here to answer the emails but me. So you'll get a personal reply from me. And the thing is, this is the most important thing as well as doing that. The most important thing is this is such a benefit to everyone. In fact, I think that of every episode we do is such a benefit for you, for me, for everyone. So please do share it. Share the episode. Please tell people tell people about the Personal Development Unplugged podcast with this guy. He's a weird Britisher, Cluffy, but I think he's got some good stuff. You'll pick up some golden nuggets. Trust me. Trust me, I'm a hypnotist. Anyway, please do that, and I'm going to see you. Well, I might see you, but I will hear you and you'll hear from me, okay? But until then, it's time to fly and do that work. And do it with fun. Don't get serious. Have serious fun doing this serious stuff, okay? Okay, now go fly. Bye now.
Warning, you are now leaving the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. It's time to fly on your own. Be brave, my friend.
Personal Development Unplugged.